Welcome back, Shalligators. It's the video we've been waiting for, the Tinder Swindler. Now, I'm probably gonna call him the Tinder Swindler at some point. Just bear with me, all right? Also bear with me of how grubby my room is, how grubby I am. I'm getting on a red eye in like 3 hours to go to St. Martin and St. Bart's, and I'll be taking you guys along with me on Instagram. Follow me at ShallonXO. I've never been to either island, and I think they're gonna be a real douche fest. It's gonna be great. Also, this is a microphone. Some people noticed it in the last video. They're like, there's a Q-tip sticking out of your shirt. It's a microphone. You actually don't need a Q-tip to do a YouTube video. You do need a mic. So I should have it hidden. I can't be bothered. I can't deal with my hair. I'm so sorry, but I come with a pure heart. I also come with a lot of information because we're going to break down the Tinder Swindler and look at the red flags, because when we watch that Netflix doc, it's so easy to play Monday morning quarterback for these women, right? To just be like, how could they fall for this? It's so obvious. But when we are honest with ourselves, we've all been scammed. I mean, not out of 6 figures, not out of years of our life maybe, but have we not all fallen prey to some sort of emotional con artist? A fuckboy, a cheater, we were the side chick, we didn't know it, a friend who we thought had our back and they didn't. Scams come in all shapes and sizes, and they have one thing in common: confidence. That's where we get the term con man. You know what con is short for? Confidence. Because what a con artist wants, even more than like the money, whatever that thing is that they're getting from you, they like the juice of getting someone to believe them. And we broke this down in my Evil Week video on how to spot a con man, because I detailed my experience with travel company, I'm gonna use that term loosely, Trend 45, and it was not a positive one. So I encourage you to go back and watch that, because I think we even did 2 parts. Sorry, this microphone is just making me crazy because that's how my day's going. We even did 2 parts, like the secondary thing to look for. So we're going to recap it a little bit, but also break down the red flags of the Tinder Swindler. And we're going to get into it. We're going to super get into it. And the place we're going to start, one word. I took all these notes. You know, the first word I wrote down? Turtleneck. Never trust a man in a turtleneck. I mean, don't trust anyone in a turtleneck. Elizabeth Holmes, that Theranos psychopath with her like crazy eyes and her fake weird deep voice and her frizzy hair, she wore turtlenecks. Fucking psychopath. Great. So we're going to break down what to look for, from the little tiny things, like to me, the number 1 red flag on his Tinder profile that you need to avoid at all costs, to the characters in this story. I mean, they're not characters. Like, why this other woman who had his baby was pretending to be cool with him, even though she was a victim also. We're going to get into it because there's a psychological reasoning behind all of these things. But before we do, just want to remind you guys that we are currently raising money for homeless dogs in the Dominican Republic. I space because we do so many fundraisers. I partner with an organization, the 501c charity called Samana Dogs. It's just a grassroots thing. They're just ladies and guys paying out of their own pocket. They have no funding, no real fundraising, and they rescue all these stray dogs and pay themselves to house and vaccinate and adopt them out. This money is going to go such a long way. So if you can give $5, that would be great. As I'm saying this, I'm doing a whole video about con artists, and people might be like, is Shallon just trying to con us? I don't need your $5,000. Like, not to be a douche, but I don't need it. And I would never steal from a charity. I would like embezzle from like Microsoft, yeah, but I wouldn't. What kind of asshole? Ugh. So if you feel so inclined, I would appreciate donations. Okay. The Tinder Swindler. If you haven't watched it, it's on Netflix. Highly encourage you. Oh, but let me talk about another Netflix doc real quick. What's it called? Inventing Anna, the Anna Delvey documentary. You guys have been asking, like, are you going to do something on this? Are you going to do something on this? I'm like, ugh, I really don't want to. But one of you made a really good point and asked a good question. Did you ever encounter her in New York City? If you're new to this channel, I lived in New York City for over a decade. I was a magazine editor. I was a journalist. I was very much like a girl about town. I mean, I drove to the Hamptons with Jeffrey Epstein one time. I know a lot of people. And I posted it on my Instagram, and I'm like, you know what? I might have. Like, honestly, I'm kind of surprised at the hype around her, because there were so many people in New York like her. I mean, I've been to so many like promoters dinners and like events hosted by like shadowy millionaires, and it's like, who the hell are any of you people? Like, I don't know anyone's actual pedigree. Are they full of shit? You just kind of assume that like there's a good chunk of the population in like the New York it scene of people who are like completely full of it. Whether they're acting, flexing like they're rich, but they're in $90,000 worth of credit card debt, or they're getting a job someplace, but actually their dad pulled the strings, or they're just a straight up con artist. Like, I don't know. I encounter people like that all the time. So the hullabaloo over Anna Delvey, I'm like, she is not special. There's thousands of Anna Delveys in New York City at any given time, you know? And yeah, I'm just so surprised people care this much. I'm so surprised, because truly, like, she wasn't even like the most egregious con artist out there. And she's not hot either, you know? Like, she tried to buy her way onto the scene. It's like, of course people overlooked her. She's like not cute, and she's like boring. Everyone said like she doesn't really talk, and she's weird, and when she does talk, she's mean. It's like, get the fuck out of here. Anyway, what we could do a video on is maybe how to be okay coming from humble beginnings. Because when we look at these con artists, Anna Delvey, the Tinder swindler, they didn't come from much. Like, Anna said she was like a Russian heiress, you know? It's like, and I think her dad was like a shoemaker or something like that. Like something very just normal middle class. Same with the Tinder swindler. They tracked him down. He came from like the Hasidic slums in Jerusalem. Like, he was not a rich man. And that really informs so much of these people's pathology. Like, they have to outrun that history. I've said many times that like I was raised by a single mom in a very affluent area. I mean, people have planes and boats, and they kind of looked down on me. And I joke that everything I have achieved in my life is revenge for assumptions people had about me when I was a kid. Like, oh, she's the single mom daughter. She's probably going to be pregnant at 15. That's funny. I was a virgin until I was 22. I was crushing it. I was on a roll. I was student body president. I was prom queen. Like, go fuck yourself. So I understand where these con artists are coming from, that they want to outrun that history. So maybe a video on like how we can make peace with our humble beginnings, you know, or just any beginnings, humble or not, like a bad family, difficult childhood. How can we move forward from that? It's a big topic to tackle, but you know, I'll see if we can do it. It's probably going to have to wait until I get back from the islands, because I just do want to enjoy myself. I'm still bringing all my filming stuff, so I'm not going to leave you guys hanging. I just hope that Jennifer Lopez doesn't do something stupid. Every time I go somewhere, that bitch, she pulls out. I'm like, what? Just, Jen, we're friends. You know I love you. Call me. Give me a heads up. Wait a few days to announce something. Okay, let's go through this doc bit by bit. The red flag I saw in his Tinder profile, do you know what it was? I mean, in addition to the incredibly over-the-top douchey photos, Instagram link. His entire bio was his Instagram link. That to me right there told me all I needed to know. I do not entertain, and I'm on Tinder. I'm a single chickadee out in the world. I don't even fuck with dudes who have that as just their bio. I don't swipe on you if you have no bio at all, unless you are like a smoke, like a Hemsworth, which this guy was not. I mean, he had a sort of charm about him. I don't know. But as Israeli guys go, and they're so hot, no. So his whole thing was appearances, you know, and I started off like very much not on team victim. Like I was part of the victim blaming mentality, because that first girl, that Norwegian chick, she seems like she's looking for someone to save her. You know, she's talking about how I loved Beauty and the Beast, and you know, she just gets swept away and she meets someone and she's taken out of a little village. I know that that's not her accent, but I can only do German and not Norwegian. It's close enough. Just bear with me. But when we come from this place of take me away, we are extremely susceptible to extremely bad people, because a bad person, they smell weakness. Desperation, we know, is the strongest smell in the universe, right? And not that we're desperate when we're looking for love, because there's certainly a way to date from a place of strength. Absolutely. I mean, I feel like I do. I would like to meet someone that I fall in love with, but I don't need to. My life is whole and happy and healthy all on its own, you know? Like, I'm good. It would be nice, but it's not a requirement. And I got the impression from that Norwegian girl that like, no. She kind of always is on the hunt for a man. Like, she's actually like not super good on her own, which we've all been there. But I think that really laid the foundation for the swindler to get her. And the reason I was like not team victims at first is because, you know, she was definitely, the whole reason she swiped on him and started talking to him and was like all goggly eyed about him is because he was flexing so hard. The private jets and the flights and the Four Seasons and the caviar. But she's trying to downplay it like, oh, like that would have been cool. Yeah, I thought, oh, it'd be cool to like go out with someone who lives this life. Bitch, who the hell are you trying to fool? You were power swiping on that guy, super liking, because of this lifestyle you wanted entree into. And a big criticism of these women, it's like, yo, hate the game, not the player. Like, if you're going to be a gold digger and go after someone for his money, you got played back, you know? There is something to be said about that. I mean, that's not wrong, but it's also, I mean, look, we've done videos before about gold diggers. We have. And it's like, yeah, if you're just after someone for the money, you're entering into an agreement. So you better be down for anal every Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday, sweetheart, because this is the agreement. You don't get to just go out whenever. You don't get to just like roll over because you have a tummy ache. Nope. There is an unspoken contract in place. So don't be mad if someone's cheating on you and not respecting you. Are you really respecting them? If you're not there for the right reasons, don't be mad when they're not. But I do think this, like what happened to these women is so egregious. I mean, you know, we think like they get what they deserve in terms of like, oh, he kind of ignores you at dinner. Not like he takes $115,000 from you. But it's easy to be like, how did they fall for this? How did they fall for this? So there's a couple things that the swindler did. Actually, when it comes down to it, there's one thing that he did. One thing that was just kind of, boop, slipped into this documentary. But for me, because I'm the smartest woman in the world, just go with it. It raised my antenna. And I thought, that's it. That's it. He was such a good listener. He asked so many questions about me and he just loved to listen. And I thought, wow, it's so rare to find a guy who really listens to you. That is Grooming 101. Grooming 101. Listen. Why? Why? Because unless you listen to your victim, you don't know how to victimize them. Unless you let someone tell you all of their weak spots and their traumas and the things they're afraid of and their hopes and dreams, how could you possibly press on them? You have to know how to install the buttons before you can push them, right? And this is especially toxic and awful because a quality person will listen. I mean, how do you differentiate at that stage between someone toxic and someone who wants to get to know you? I mean, obviously we shouldn't date someone who's like, blah, 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 I don't care what you have to say, right? What is the difference? Okay. Now we get into what he does, coupled with the asking and the listening. And he's like taking notes in his like journal of demented evil. Let's go through it. So I actually found this on Instagram. Is someone, her handle is Alyssa Marie Wellness. She posted a very competent breakdown of red flags to look for. So good job, girl. I'm going to give you a shout out. Okay. So remember, he's asking all about you. And that on its own is not bad. That's good. But when coupled with these other things, it creates a sort of awful dark alchemy that creates a very toxic situation where you are no longer operating with logic, you're operating with feeling. Keep in mind, and we've said this before, studies upon studies upon studies have been done on sociopaths. And one stood out to me, and because I read them all because I find sociopaths fascinating, right? What does a sociopath want? What do they want? You think money or power, revenge, violence, sex? No. The number one thing a sociopath wants from you is pity. Pity. Yeah, man. Pity. What's the example I always give? Have you ever called someone in a wheelchair an asshole? I haven't either. Even though I'm sure there's the same number of people who are assholes that are in wheelchairs that are walking around. It's the same per capita kind of thing. We don't call those people assholes because we feel sorry for them. And I mean, we shouldn't call them assholes. We shouldn't call anyone an asshole. But pity makes us very, very elastic, very malleable, right? We're inclined to put up with a lot and believe a lot when we feel sorry for someone. And this is what con artists do, confidence artists do. They turn your best quality into your worst quality. They take that thing that makes you wonderful. The fact that you don't call handicapped people assholes just because they're sitting down, right? Your empathy, your generosity, your willingness to help a friend. They weaponize that and suddenly that's a target on your back. Ooh. So let's go back to this list. Thanks, Alyssa Marie. They ask about you. We know this. They move quickly before getting to know you. What did the swindler do? Let's move in together. Let's have a baby. I'm going to fly you out. That one girl, Pernilla, flew her to, where was it? Amsterdam, somewhere, to meet him for the first time? That's not normal. When we think of this swept away phenomenon, and truly this is what psychologists call it, the swept away phenomenon, and they attribute this desire to just be like swept away to the majority of unplanned pregnancies. I don't know, just like swept up in the moment. I don't want to stop to get a condom. I don't want to tell him to pull out. We're just swept away. What do you need to be swept away from? What in your life do you need to be carried away from? Always be aware of your own pressure points. Be aware of your own weak spots, because you can bet a con artist already knows them. They have extravagant and elaborate stories, right? This dude, I don't know the last time I've heard the word enemy so many times. I have enemies. My enemies are coming. Elon Musk doesn't have this many enemies. Vladimir Putin doesn't have this many enemies. Like, bro, you sell diamonds. Like, yeah, it's a shady ass industry. Of course, he doesn't do this, but it's always like, they're after me. The whole world is after me. Like, it's these huge conspiracies, and there's only one person who can help me. You. No man, listen to me. No alpha male, and I mean alpha is a positive thing. No Barack Obama, no Idris Elba, no John Cena would ever ask a girl they just started dating or have been dating for a while for money. Never. Would you? I would rather sleep on a fucking park bench than ask a man for money. It makes my skin crawl. Oh, I've got tingles. I can't do it. It is horrific. I will figure shit out myself. Why is this significant? Men are hardwired to what? Mate and reproduce, and to be providers, okay? No man is going to come at you weak like that. He's going to come correct. He's going to max out his own credit cards. He's going to be taking out a loan. He's going to be figuring shit out. He's not going to be like, oh yeah, like I need to borrow $50,000. Are you kidding, girl? Let's keep going. Talks of the future and commitment within weeks. There's an overall sense of urgency. We got to do this now. My enemies are closing in. I got to marry you. We got to move in together. Now. Because when there's a sense of urgency, we go into fight, flight, or freeze response, right? The 3 Fs. We are not operating in any one of those scenarios, fight, flight, or freeze, logically, in a metered way. We're not thinking things through. We're not deliberating. We're not taking our time, because we've got someone be like, no, call the company now. I need to love you now. Come over here now. I mean, it's panicky, right? And they know this. They're bamboozling you. And the Tinder swindler specifically spent a month whining and dining these women, doing what con artists call getting your beak wet, right? We see this in cons all the time, where they do pick you up in a Bentley. They do pick up the check for the first month. They are flying you around in a private jet. So you are getting this foundation of believability and credibility that, yeah, this guy is who he says he is. So you got your beak wet. You got a little taste of the good life, and then it flips. Because now he no longer needs to keep convincing you of his wealth. Now you have all the information you need to convince yourself. Because you're willing to convince yourself, because you're coming from a place of desperation and weakness, right? That Norwegian chick was the easiest chick in the world to wheedle, because all she wanted was to be swept away and love. So she was just like prime for the picking. That second chick, Pernilla, I feel like there's more of a story there about why she's like, I'm not into you. Maybe he wasn't into her. I don't know. But he still got plenty of money out of her. Didn't have to fuck her. So what can we call all of this? The urgency, the talk of the future, the overwhelmment. Love bombing. Of course. This is love bombing. What is love bombing? It is the chief tactic of a narcissist. What is a narcissist? A narcissist, believe it or not, is someone who does struggle with low self-esteem, very low, to the point that they have to completely either reinvent themselves, as we see with the swindler, with Anna Delvey, people who they're not okay with where they came from. They're not okay with who they are. They can't just be like, what was his real name? Who even knows? Who knows? Anna can't just be like Anna Magorski or whatever from the shoemaker village. Like, here I am. Can't do it. So they have to inflate and cut other people down at the same time. They have to glom onto people to sort of siphon off their self-esteem and their perfection for themselves, to puff themselves up. It's extremely toxic. And then, so what the narcissist does, they build you up. I love you. You're the love of my life. I want to have kids with you. Let's go look at apartments. And then they devalue you. This is the inevitable shift of the narcissist love bomber. And the way he did it with these women, how could you not want to help me? Wow, I didn't know you were such a fake. I've taken you all over the world and you can't even take out a loan for me. I just need like a plane ticket. You can't even do that. Oh, okay. Right? Devalued. Goes to the heart of who they are. I thought you were a good person. I am a good person. But what? Let us keep reading. Grandiose sense of self, also narcissist hallmark. Stories being told aren't adding up. Again, these enemies. What are you talking about, dude? Entices you to want to take care of them by victimizing themselves. Ooh. Pity. Pity, pity, pity. I got beaten up. My enemies are after me. It's a whole conspiracy. You believe me, don't you? When we look at even, forget like an actual con artist, when we look at a fuckboy, when we really trace back to the moments where we keep letting this person in, isn't there kind of an element of pity? We might not call it pity. Well, I let him come over and fuck me at 2 a.m. because I pity him. No, we're not saying that. It's deeper. When I think back on the biggest fuckboy I've known in the last few years, I felt sorry for him. Or not that I felt sorry for him. I saw the best in him. He was just a broken bird who was like self-medicating with alcohol and drugs and cheating and lying and it wasn't pity, but it was a soft spot. Like maybe pity is not the word you want to give to it, but it's, I'm going to see the best in you. Why? What if we instead approach dating, hey, I'm actually going to try to look for the worst. I'm not going to judge you by how sweet you can be, because anyone can be sweet. Hitler could be sweet. We talk about this all the time. I'm going to judge you by shit that doesn't add up, by how rude you were to that waitress for absolutely no reason, for the way you talk about the women that you've encountered in your life, your mom, your ex-girlfriend, for the way you belittle my dreams. That's actually the data points that are going to be relevant to me. Not, oh, I look so beautiful. I fucking know I'm beautiful. Shut up. Not the dinner you took me to. I can buy my own dinner. I'm going to look for the worst in you. And hopefully the worst is you clap when the plane lands. And you know what, babe? We can change that. Hopefully the worst isn't that bad. Maybe if these women had gone with that prescriptive, things would have turned out a different way. So the big question that keeps coming up about this is his other victim. Because remember when the one Norwegian girl was on the flight, he's like, oh yeah, that's my baby mom and my kid. Do you think that's really his kid? I don't know. But apparently it comes out later, she was one of his victims too. I'm like, didn't she try to take him to court or something? And this blew everyone's mind because it's like, how? Well, hey man, hurt people, don't they? When people have been seriously victimized, and we're talking about like being molested, like they have a higher chance of going on to be abusers themselves. But I don't think that's what this is. I don't think this woman was setting out to swindle anyone else or to hurt them. I think it was a very extreme case of cognitive dissonance. Way back, maybe a year ago, when Demi Lovato, oh yeah, her, Demi Lovato, came out with that documentary that really did her no favors. She talked about when she was raped, and she talked about how she actually called the guy up like the next day. It was like her drug dealer, and she slept with him again. And she said something very wise, rare, I know, but she did. She's like, I wanted to take back my power. I didn't want to feel like a victim. And so I wanted it to be on my terms so that I could kind of rewrite what happened. And that really, really resonated with me. It really did. When I was like 25, I got back together with my high school sweetheart. And I mean, I'd known him half my life. And one night he was coked out and drunk and he beat me up. Like, that man beat me up. And you know, you hear stories like that and it's like, well, I'm sure you never spoke to him again. And no, I went to dinner with him the next night. Fat lip, black eye, all of it. Because I was trying to do the same thing. I was trying to rewrite it. Like, I'm going to end this on my terms. Like, I'm going to go out not as the victim, not as losing. I'm going to try to win. I'm going to try to beat the game. Of course, we know intellectually in hindsight, and maybe in the moment, this is a very bad idea, but we cannot labor under that cognitive dissonance, which means what's happening does not align with what I want to happen, doesn't align with my values, my sense of who I am, what I want from the world. These two don't match. So I think that woman, that fake baby mama, or God forbid that real baby mama, I hope it's fake. I hope she rented that child. I don't know. I think that's what it was. It's like, you know what? I can't see myself as a victim here. It's either I stay home and I look at this mess of my life that this man has made, or I get on this private jet and I eat chocolate covered strawberries and drink some Dom and have some caviar and fuck it. At least I'm not totally losing. At least if I'm part of the crime, I'm not part of the victims. I do think that's what was at play there, you know? And again, from a bird's eye view, that sounds insane, but you don't know the decisions you would make until you're in that scenario. If you told me, oh yeah, a guy's going to beat you up and you're going to hang out with him for the next 3 days, I'd be like, no, I'm not. I'm sure if you told that to Rihanna before Chris Brown beat her up, she would have said that was crazy too. And yet, it happens more often than you think. And it's not because we're all so stupid. It's because these people get their fucking hooks in you. Confidence game. Never forget that. So the other things that stuck out to me as huge red flags, when the Dutch girl, that girl, the one who was with him for like 14 months, can you imagine? But you know what? I say that. I think about an ex who cheated on me. Yeah, I can't imagine waking up one day and being like, who are you? Who are you? I was dating someone last year and I got real sick and he was a monster. I've never seen anything like it. I didn't know someone could be that two-faced. And it's frightening because you're like, who have I let into my life? Who have I let into my body? Who is this person? Don't worry, his comeuppance is coming. But yeah, that Dutch girl, she was like, I decided to get even. I'm like, I love you. The Dutch they're a nation that's this big and they conquered the world. Like, don't mess with the Dutch, yo. They will carve some wooden shoes and go to town on your ass. So what stood out to me is when she confronted him. Was it her? No, I'm sorry. It was Pernilla. It was Pernilla who confronted him. Okay. They're all bad bitches. And it's funny, like they all kind of look alike. They're all from like kind of the same sort of Slavic countries, you know? And I'm sure there were so many more women. But when that chick confronted him, he was instantly angry. Instantly. Now, think about this. If your friend called you out of the blue and was like, we know what you've been doing. You'd be like, I didn't eat that whole pint of Ben and Jerry's. That's not what I mean, Shallon. What do you mean? We know. It's over. Just fess up. You'd be like, wait, what are you talking about? You wouldn't be like, fuck you, like foaming at the mouth. You truly wouldn't know what they were talking about. You would be curious, not furious. You would make them walk you through, like, wait, tell me from the beginning what you heard, who's saying this, like, put these pieces together. Like, I'm so confused. Now, true, guilty people can do this too. Everything that I'm saying, toxic, guilty people, they know. And this is one reason you should never take a sociopath or a narcissist to therapy. It's just basically finishing school for them. They just learn this kind of vocabulary and they learn how to manipulate you better. Like, just cut your losses, girl. But so a guilty person can also be like, what's a jet? What's a money? What's a Tindler? But I think the fact that he went immediately ham, immediately angry, immediately, you're a bitch, and how could you do this to me? I mean, a guilty person knows it's coming, right? An innocent person is going to be like, they might get there in a minute, but it's going to take them a minute to catch up. The lottery ticket. The lottery ticket. Oh my God, was that not so delicious? And the last thing that stood out, the homeless king. He's got to be king of something. He's got to be king. He has to be like the king of this disgusting bedbug hostel. I'm the Marquise de Scabies. Like, I'm the Duke of Foot Fungus. Like, what are you talking about? But I think once we've watched this, the thing that really leaves an impression is the end. My mom was watching it with me. She's already seen it. She's like, keep watching. No, don't go to the bathroom. Keep watching it. She's like, it's going to blow your mind. And I'm like, what? Like, what's it going to be? Is he going to get like shot in the street like a dog? No. I hate to spoil it. You know what he's doing now? Thriving. That dickless motherfucker is thriving. Piaget watches, Bentleys. He's got a girlfriend. He has a website for business advice. You know what? He should lean in and be like, I'll tell you how to scam people. I fucking exactly know how to do it. I'll tell you how to be a Tinder swindler. And his fee is $311. Oddly specific. Maybe it means something different in a different currency, but I'm like, okay. It's like a code for like, is it like a bat signal for all douches out there? 311. But yeah, he spent like, what was it, 5 months in jail? And he's out. And these women are still paying off their debt. I mean, it makes your blood boil. It's so disgusting. And I was talking with my mom about it. It's like, the death penalty shouldn't be just for murderers, because some people might only murder once. If I killed someone, well, I think if I got a taste for it, I'd just keep on going. But some people they'll kill once, or they're a killer because they were young and they got pushed into whatever. Fraudsters, it is a fact. It is a psychological, well-studied fact. They never stop defrauding. Con artists always go back to it. They always go back to it. They never go straight. They just don't. That's not how they move through the world. They can't. Same with like child molesters, sexual predators, right? They never really stop. The urges never end. So it's like, yo, if we're going to give the chair to some like gangbanger who shot somebody, throw this douche there. Like, throw the child molesters. Hang them high. Because they're never going to stop. And the way they ruin lives, I mean, it's almost like he should have killed one of these women. I mean, not, but like at least then we could lock him up forever, It is so hard to stomach that people get away with it. And they do. Look, he's got a Netflix doc. I bet he's loving the attention. Anna Delvey, she's loving it. The Fire Festival guy, that pudgy bastard, he's going to get out of prison. He was on bail and he started a new scheme. Remember? That's why his bail got pulled. He's going to get out. He's going to be right back to it. And it's people, hopefully I'm not in this category because I don't think I'm romanticizing or deifying these people or thinking they're so cool or so interesting. They're not. They're disgusting. They're not amusing characters. Like, people used to think that about mobsters. Like, oh, it's so cool. Those people are psychopaths. They ruin lives. They're not amusing. Neither are these people. They're useful for us as a big shiny symbol of things to avoid. They're a cautionary tale. They're a fable. But they are not people to be glorified, and yet our society does. We glorify people like this because we all want a quick way. We all want a quick buck and a free lunch, right? We all want to skip the line to a verified account and a private jet. We value that. We value it. I do. I'm flying on a private jet tomorrow. I have a verified account. I flex on that. I have a lot of designer clothes, right? But I got it off my own hustle, not on the back of someone else. And, I have been scammed. I've been swindled. Like, we all went on some level or another. We have all experienced this core dynamic. And so if we sit here in judgment of these women, you're so stupid. There, but by the grace of God go you and I. We cannot think we are invulnerable to people like this, because that's exactly when we are the most vulnerable, when we think we've got it all figured out. A healthy dose of skepticism is a good thing. Never be afraid to ask the hard questions. And this is something that I talk about much more in those Evil Week videos. Go check them out. This is something we dove much deeper into in the Evil Week videos and the follow-up, like exactly how con men operate, how they will employ a secondary person to keep their reputation afloat. So definitely check that out. But the way to combat this, ask tough questions. Pump the brakes. A quality guy is not going to rush in. Why? He's protecting his heart too. Men are not so different than us. What man wants to rush out and get hurt? A foolish man, or a man who actually can't get hurt? Because he's not really here for the right reasons. He's got no skin in the game. He doesn't matter. You're a mark to him. You're a trick. You should be able to say, hey, let's just take it easy. We don't need to move in together. Like, that's great. Like, we can keep talking. Like, I want to talk to you, but I actually don't need you to text me 65 times a day, to be calling me, to be sending me all these videos. Have your boundaries. One of my friends, she's gorgeous, and guys like want to go super fast with her. And she says, I simmer. I don't boil. I simmer. And they're like, ugh. And the fuck boys weed themselves out, because the fuck boys, the shysters, the con artists, you know what they aren't? Patient. They're here for a good time, not a long time. They don't detect you as an easy mark. Ugh, they're going to move on. They're actually not usually playing that long of a game, because they have to identify up front that you're at least ripe for the picking. But if you're like, okay, like, I'm actually not going to fly to see you, or no, I can't just get on a private jet. I have work in the morning, you know, but that's nice. Hey, if you want to plan a trip, let's go someplace in 2 months once we get to know each other. If he really has a private jet, that's fine with him. He is going to like, if he's a quality man, the fact that you have boundaries and standards also, because that's what he's looking for. Water seeks its same level. But when we come from a place of desperation, sweep me away from this disaster that's my life. We use this emotional getaway car example all the time here on this channel. If you're running out of a crime scene and you see a getaway car waiting to speed you away, are you particular about what color it is? What make and model? Are the seats leather? Are they two-tone leather? I don't know. No! You're like, get me the fuck in this and put the pedal to the metal. Let's go. You are not picky. And we cannot emotionally operate like this. I mean, we can. Might cost us $250,000. So it's so frustrating to see that justice really isn't served. So, you know, when we think like, I don't know, not like we go into situations like, well, the law will take care of it. I don't think we do that, but please just know how high the stakes are. Like, someone could ruin your heart, your credit, your finances, your future, and there really won't be the cavalry riding in to save you. I mean, look at this guy. All the bad publicity, arrested by Interpol, went to prison. He's thriving. Doesn't give a shit. You think it wasn't worth it for him? 5 months? Who couldn't do 5? I could do 5 months. I've been flying on private jets the last 10 years. Fuck. If I knew that was the trade-off, man, maybe a life of crime really is the answer. Of course it's not. It's a sick, gross, disgusting way to operate. So pump the brakes. Ask questions. Ask questions. You know? Hard questions aren't hard when there's an easy answer. If something doesn't add up, press on that. When I look back at men who've cheated on me, like, I wish I had pressed more on things that just didn't add up. And they were small. They seemed small at the time. It's like, well, wait a minute. You said you got those chairs on Amazon. Now you said your boss gave them to you? No, honey, that's not what I said. I said my boss saw them on Amazon. Oh. It was his mistress that gave him the chairs, right? Little things like this. We look back, we're like, I should have known. I should have known. Don't beat yourself up. But this is why we get stuck in the past and on these situations, because we're not learning from them, and we're not being true to ourselves when we hear that call of intuition that something's not right. It's never a bad thing to pause, to remove yourself a little bit, and to think. I want to know what you guys have to say about the TINDER swindler. Also, Anna Delvey, do you guys want a video on like how to be cool with your past? I just don't know what else there is to say about her, unless you have like really interesting topics. But know this, I am not going to watch that fucking documentary. I already did my time in Anna Delvey land, going down a million rabbit holes and like listening to a million podcasts about her and reading all the articles. And again, it's like, she's just not that remarkable. Like, there's a million There's a million of her out there, and that's the scary part. For every one Anna we catch, for every one Tinder swindler, there's millions that we don't. So we gotta be smart. We gotta be smart. I love you, Shalligators. I will see you in St. Martin and St. Bart's.